Debbie with Kip's Corner. Welcome back. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome. Today I'm going to get messy. I am working on covers 3 and 4 for the Alice in Wonderland series of 4 journals that I'm doing. And just to remind you, I think in my last video, I finished up as much as I'm going to get finished at this stage. I'll add more bling when the signatures are sewn in, and then this was the first one that I did. So these two are ready for me to just set aside until signatures are sewn in and they're done. The next two I'm going to do, these are the covers, the bases. I've got this pretty floral pattern and this cool sort of eclectic, I think this is a batik, Anyway, it's a really pretty blue fabric. And I've got 2 panels here. I've got this one that is ready for me to put some color on. And it'll fit here on the cover like that. And what I've done so far is I've taken a piece of, this is a fairly thick piece of chipboard. And I've used modeling paste with 2 different stencils on the background. And then there's a few pieces of cheesecloth here. These are metal corners. They're just flat corners that just sit on top here. And then this is a piece of chipboard. This is a piece of chipboard. And this is if you can see that, it's got the rabbit on it. That's sort of like a stopwatch-ish looking piece. And I've painted the whole thing, or I've covered the whole thing with gesso, white gesso. Next step is to add color. And then after that, I'll color for the background. And then after that, I'll dry brush on top and then use a Gilders Wax on top of that. So let me show you cover number 4. This one's actually going on the pink cover. And this is it's kind of ugly right now, but it's got some really cool texture to it. So this is the bottom, the base, and from here then the next step will be to dry brush on top of it and then add the Gilders Wax on top of that. So I still have to decide what color I want to do on the Gilders Wax, and this is actually still wet. So I've got this set aside. This needs to be completely dry before I do anything else to it, but you can kind of see where I'm headed with lots of pinks kind of down here, and then it moves to browns. So like I said, it's ugly right now, but it won't be. So I'm going to put some color on this one. This is the one going on the blue journal. So I have learned my lesson the hard way. I don't mess with these colors, these inks, without putting gloves on, because otherwise it looks like I have not taken a shower in months if I don't for work the next week. So I cover my fingers. I've got over here, probably just out of camera, I've got some Distress Oxide spray in Vintage Photo and Walnut Stain. I used Walnut Stain on the first one, so I think I'll use Vintage Photo on this one. This is Victoria Velvet Distress Spray Stain, and that's what I used on the first one. And then I used, this is Lindy's Stamp Gang Moonshadow Mist, and the color is Phantom Fuchsia, and I used that on the first one as well. So for this one, I've got, not sure if I'll use this one or not, it's Cattail Copper Brown on Starburst sprays from Lindy's, the Vintage Photo Oxide, and then I've got this Moonshadow Mist in Buccaneer Bay Blue. It's very pretty. And then I also have Afternoon Delight Denim in the Lindy's Starburst. These are all fairly old. I've had them for quite a while, but they still work. Some of the lids leak, which is also, of course, why I put gloves on. All right, so I'm going to start with just throwing some blue on here first. And I'm just going to spray some attention here. Ooh, that's a pretty blue, isn't it? To get this fairly saturated. Try to get down in those holes and crevices and stuff. And I'm just gonna let that roll off. I also have a paper towel here that I can kind of dab up some. Oh, that's pretty. That is pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is just put a little bit of water on here. And what that'll do is allow me to get the flow moving so I can shift this color around. And by that I mean moving this around and letting it kind of fall into places. And when I get excess down here in the corner, I just drip it onto a paper towel. Oops. This is why it's so messy, right? Okay. Then I'm just going to keep doing that and keep playing until I get to a point where I'm fairly happy with it. All right, so let's go here. Let's put some of this here. And now I'm going to blend this in. That's got a lot more green in it, so I'm not sure if I'll like that. Now I'm going to dip this one, oops, to the side. To that side. Ooh, I don't know, that's kind of pretty. Okay, now let's get some vintage photo in here. What I want this to do is I want this to concentrate, you know, when you've got the texture in the background, I want it to sort of hit on those lines, and it brings that out. Creates the background color. And then when I dry brush and paint on top of it, we'll send this way. Now, here's the cool thing about the oxide sprays. Is when you put water on them, they're going to get these cool sort of distress. So I'm just dripping some water on here. And now I'm gonna come out towards the end. And now to the point where I probably need to dry this before I go much further. So let's do that. Bear with me. This is a messy process, and it's not something I usually do very quickly. I take my time and just keep playing until I've kind of landed on something that I'm happy with. And the cool thing about these sprays is you can kind of just keep spraying stuff on top of, on top of, on top of, and they change for you. And then once the dry brushing is done, it'll highlight all of the high levels of this and should kind of create a really, really pretty, hopefully, look. And then I also usually use an acrylic paint on top as well. All right, I'm going to add a little water to get some cool kind of drops here. Okay. And that gives me some extra textures in the background. Okay, you can kind of see how the water kind of creates that. Alright, now I think I want to go back over this now with a little bit of that first color, the denim color. Yeah, as I shake it, I'm getting, and I want to try to kind of get it right here around the edge. Get a nice dark blue around that edge of the of that chipboard piece. So I'm going to come this way and this way and come down here on the end. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Here we go. Now I'm going to put a little bit of this inside of here. Alright, and I want that to blend a little bit better, so I'm going to kind of come out here a little bit, and then I'm going to come out here with a little bit of this to blend it. And now I'm going to come in here with some water. And now I'm going to move her around. There we go. And drip off my excess off onto this paper towel. You can imagine what the back of my board looks like when I'm done, because I don't worry about it. There we go. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh, see, now that's blue's blending in nicely. Now I think it's time to dry again. That's it. Okay, let's see what that gets us. All right, I want a little bit of this off of my rabbit here. So I'm going to spray him again. And then dab this little excess pool right here. There you go. There, he looks a little bit better now. And again, I will be going over the top of him with dry brushing and with wax. Okay, I'm really liking the way this is looking here, but I kind of want a little bit more out here in this edge. So I'm going to put a little bit more of this. And then I'm going to put a little bit more of this blue out here. Like that. And then let's put a little bit of water and get them mixed up there nicely. And then I'm going to come this way. There we go. That I'm happier with. Okay. Let's dip off the excess here. And then let's see what this looks like. Again, remember, this is the background, so I'm not finished by any means once I get this to a place that I like, which I really like that. Now, here's what I want to do. If I can pick this up without getting ink on it. I want to check to see how I'm trekking with my cover. Yeah, I think that's headed in the right direction. Okay, set that back down. Hopefully I didn't get any ink on it. Let's give this a dry. I really like this cheesecloth in the background. It has a cool texture, and these inks these Lindy's inks, or a couple of them anyway, have a metallic in them, and so you kind of never know where it's going to land, which is cool. Sort of a surprise. But it's really hitting nicely in this cheesecloth. I will show you here in just a second what it's doing. You can kind of see, I hope. Let's see if I can turn that so that you can see maybe not. I don't know. I can't tell if you can see it or not on film, but it's really pretty. All right. So this process your board will kind of get a little bit of a bend to it, but once it dries, you just flatten it out. Okay, let's see. Do I want to do anything else? I'm going to do one more hit of this blue. And a little tiny bit of water so I can get the movement going. And I like that. And I'm going to try to get it to roll around the edge of that chipboard. There we go. Let me go down with it. So really I just kind of move it around, move it all over the place, and let the water flow. And I don't know yet what chipboard color, or what, excuse me, not chipboard, what paint color I'll use, but I will use an acrylic paint on this. Oh, I'll probably use blue. Maybe a light blue. All right, that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and finish drying these, and then I'm going to let these just sit overnight, actually, so they get really, really, really good and dry. Even though I've used the heater here, I want them to be dry. There's a lot of layers and a lot of levels here, and that moisture gets down under there. Every once in a while, I have to go back through and just double check to make sure that my glue has, you know, nothing's come loose, and I will do all of that before I do the next step. So that's it for now. Spraying the backgrounds, getting ready to finish with highlighting with acrylic paint and Gilders Wax. More to come. Okay, I'm back. So now what I'm doing, I've just got some regular acrylic paint, navy blue, this is called. No, wait a minute, that's not the one I used. This is the one I used. It's Night Sky is what it's called. And I'm just dabbing a little here in my tray, dabbing it off of my brush. And I'm just going, whoops, I'm just going through and just kind of doing a dry brush around all of this. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to tie it all in together. I want some blues here on the edges, and I want to get toned down a little bit of that sheeny, shiny stuff back there. So I'm just very sloppily, very not paying much attention, rhyme or reason, just kind of dry brushing all of this. It's very subtle, but it does make a difference. And then I have gone a little heavier with the paint on this piece here and this circle part here. And that's to get them even, just because I want them to look like they're all the same piece and not crazy colored. The background will be crazy colored, but I want this piece here to be a little bit more consistent. It's not going to be perfect by no means, but yeah. Okay. Again, I want that to dry, and then once it's dry, I will come back and I'll work on next I have to figure out what color Gilders Wax I want to use. Maybe copper? I don't know. No, maybe silver. I think actually, silver. I think silver will look really pretty, so I'm probably going to do silver. So there we go. That's the second step, or second. Depends on what you're counting as a step. I'll be back. Step is to add some Gilders Wax, and this is Metallique Wax from Prima Marketing, Art Alchemy Old Silver. This is an older one. I think they've changed their labels since then, but yeah, as you can tell, I've had it forever, and it lasts forever. So what I'm doing, and you can begin to see here what's going on with this silver. And so I'm just going over the whole thing very lightly. And again, this will tie it all in together even further than what we were already doing. And it'll also tone down some of that sheen and sparkle back there. And I'm just using my finger as I get to places where if I want to put a little bit of silver and my finger won't reach it, I'll just use a small brush. But for now, I'm just getting it in here, all over. You don't have to put the wax, you don't have to put the wax on at all, but you definitely don't have to put it on all of it. You could just kind of highlight specific areas, but because this is kind of so multi-toned here, and like I said before, I wanted to kind of pull them all together. I'm going to go ahead and put it over the whole thing. Okay, and now I think you can see that it all sort of blends together, even though I've got a ton of different colors in there. That wax really just pulls it all together. Besides the fact that it gives it a cool metallic look. Yeah, because that's what it's called. Okay. All right. You know, and I could play with this all day long, but I'm going to stop. I'm just going to put a little bit more up here. I'm going to stop, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over this now with some more dry brushing. But before I do, I want to, let me see if I can get this silver off of my finger. I want to take a look at, just kind of check in on my color to make sure I'm still happy with what this is going to look like on the cover. So, here's my cover, and here's where I am, and I think once I get some white on there, so now as I look at this, I'm deciding that I want to probably go a little heavier on some white than I might normally, just to pull in that white and these lighter tones and these blues here. All right, so far so good. I'll be back. Okay, here I am again with my mess. Now I've got some white gesso, and I'm just putting some on my brush, dabbing it off, and now I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to do a little bit more dry brushing with the white gesso. And I'm just kind of going all the way around this. I had already decided that I wanted to lighten this up just a little bit, just to try to get some white highlights in here to butter match my cover. So I'm going to go a little heavier, I think, on this edge. But again, this is another way to tie all those colors in together. I like going in different directions, especially on something like this where it's sort of an eclectic look anyway. Okay, I'm back. I've played a little bit more, dirtied up all my brushes, and I think I'm happy with where I am right now. So there we go. It's got kind of some cool sheen to it, and it's blended nicely, I think. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to edge this with a dark brown ink. So I'm just gonna go right through here and just kind of go all the way around with this dark ink. And I actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't do black. I may. Let me go over this with this dark brown first, or is this espresso, I think. Let's do that first. And then I will decide, do I want to do black? I think I do. But instead of black ink, I'm going to try black wax. All right, let's see if this works. I have no idea if I'm going to like this or not. I think if it sort of defines my edge there, so that when I lay it down on the journal, there's a nice defined edge and it doesn't like blend in. That's my goal here. So I'll define these edges even more with some lace trim probably. I was actually thinking about something like this sitting on here, and this sits on top of it. Oh, my hand's in the way. So I don't know what yet. Oh, it's the wrong way, but it goes like that. So yeah, I like that. I like that added piece. So there'll be more that I do here that I play with and add with. I might use more cheesecloth since I've got a little bit here. That might be a nice way to add some more definition to the panel. So we will definitely be playing with it a little bit more. So, but so far, here's what we have. And actually, I was looking at this earlier. I think I'm going to put a plate, a title plate on here. There-ish. And I like the way that sort of pops out there as well. So more to come. That'll come kind of later, but this is what I've got so far on this one. I still have the pink one. It is still drying. I know I did that one first, but I got it a lot wetter than I did this one when I worked on it. So it really needs to sit for a bit, and it had a piece that also needed to be re-glued, so that's drying. So I'll probably do that one on off camera, and I will pull them together once they're glued down and come back and show them to you one more time before I get started. Then the next step is on the guts for all 4 of these journals. And hopefully the covers are going to be different enough. My idea was to just make them a little bit eclectic, just because Alice is. I think the whole story, you know, is a little out there and fun. And so I wanted these covers to reflect the story. And so hopefully them doing that and succeeding. I don't know. We'll see. Jury's still out. More to come. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we will talk soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.